Hello friends, welcome to my channel. This is Charan. In this video tutorial, I will explain in Django Rest Framework how to insert the multiple selected drop-down list into PostgreSQL database using select2 jQuery plugin. And here we got the final output, the header tags. Below that we got the select2 jQuery plugin, which is the drop-down element, so I can able to select multiple colors: red, yellow, white. So whatever the values I have selected is displaying here. Now these values I will insert in this colors table. Click insert. See here I got a message, record saved successfully. Click OK. Let's check in our database. Right now we have only one record. Let's execute or refresh. See here red, yellow, white. Let's insert the other records, yellow and red. I have selected only two colors, red and yellow. Click insert records. Record saved successfully. Click OK. Let's check that one. So here red, yellow. That's it. We have implemented to insert multiple drop-down list selected values using select2 jQuery plugin in Django Rest Framework. That's it.
If you are a first-time visitor to my channel, please subscribe to get the latest updates.
Before creating a new Django Rest Framework application, first we'll create a new database and table in this PG admin, which is nothing but a PostgreSQL. The version I'm using 12. So there is one default database which is a Postgres, but I'm creating a new database. Select the databases, right click the mouse, go to create and select database, and here we can give the database name. My database name I'm giving Charan. Click save, and see here the database is created. Let me expand this database. See here we got the message here, database connected. In this Charan database at the bottom we got a schemas. Let me expand that one. In this schemas we got the tables folder. Let me expand this tables folder. Notice there is 0 tables right now in this folder. Let's create a new table. Right click the tables folder, go to query tool, create. Let's create a table. Create table. I'm adding colors. I want to save the selected multiple colors into this table using drop-down list. The columns I am adding ID, serial, which is nothing but a auto increment column, and this is the primary key, comma, and the second column name is a color name, varchar the data tag is. I'm adding 100. Let's create this colors table. See here we got a message, query returned successfully. I'm refreshing the tables folder. Now I'm expanding the tables folder. Notice we got the colors folder. Let me browse this colors folder. Right click the mouse, go to view edit data, and I'm selecting all rows. Right now this newly created colors table contains 0 rows. Now let's insert some selected multiple colors using select2 drop-down list element with Django Rest Framework. Before creating a new Django application, first we require one new folder. So I'm creating a new folder in this E drive. Right click the mouse, go to new and select folder. The select folder name is rest multiple DDL drop down list, insert, enter. Let me browse this folder. Right now this folder contains empty. Now we'll create a new Django Rest Framework application in this folder. I'm using Visual Studio Code to create a new Django application. First, before adding the application, we'll add the folder which we have created in the E drive. Go to file, open folder, then select the folder I have created in the E drive. This is the folder I have created. Click select folder. And here the folder is successfully added to our Visual Studio Explorer panel. At the right side we got the welcome page. Let's close this welcome page. Now let's create a new Django Rest Framework application in this folder. Go to View and select Terminal. And here we got our terminal, which is nothing but a PowerShell or command prompt. And also notice the path is E drive, the rest multiple DDL insert, which is of the folder name. Now I'm creating a new Django Rest Framework application in this folder. Django-admin start project. The project name is multiple DDL insert is my application name. And here notice the multiple DDL insert, the application is created successfully. Let me expand this application, and in this application there is one subfolder with the same project name and one manage.py Python file. Let me allow this expand this subfolder also. Now in the subfolder, if you notice, there is some default Python files like settings.py, urls.py. All these files and folders has been created automatically when I create this application multiple DDL insert. So after creating the application, the next step, let's add one new folder to this app. I'm selecting the root folder, right click the mouse, new folder. In this, the folder name is the templates. Enter. The reason I have created the templates folder, in Django applications, all our templates, which are the HTML pages, will put in this templates folder. So let's create one HTML page in this templates folder. Select the templates folder, right click the mouse, new file. The file name is index.html. And here we got our index.html. So let's add the doc type HTML. Let's close this HTML tag. After that, I'm adding the header section. In the header section, I'm adding the title tag. The title is multiple selected drop down list values insert. Now after the header section, I'm adding body tag. Inside the body, I'm adding the center tag. And in the center tag, I'm adding h1 header tags. The header tag is how to insert selected drop down list select2 jQuery plugin values and h3 Django Rest Framework. After the headings, I'm adding horizontal line. Now after the horizontal line, I'm adding a simple select element, and this select element contains the option. The first option I'm adding is colors. Our table name is the colors table, so I'm adding the colors red. Let's copy this one here, blue, green and yellow. Let's add one more also here, white. That's it. We have created one simple select option element, which is a drop down list in this index.html. Let's save this file, save all. Now before adding the Django Rest Framework application, first we'll check the output, how it looks, the designing part on the browser. In Django applications, when we want to render our templates, we need to configure the HTML page. For that, open settings.py. First, in the settings.py, we need to install our application name. Our application name is multiple DDL. Insert this application name I'm adding here in the install_app section. Then come to the bottom. Notice in the templates there is one directory section here. So here I'm configuring I'm adding and joining my templates folder with the base directory. So let's add that one, os.path.join base directory, comma, between single quotes I'm adding my folder name. All my HTML pages are inside in this templates folder. That's it. Let's save this file, save all. After that, let's open urls.py. Now we need to configure the urls path also from .import views. So here we don't have views page in our application, so let's add views page. Select the subfolder of application, click new file, add views.py, enter. And here we got the views.py. In this views.py contains the actual logic. Will create the APIs, will fetch or post the data, everything will do in this views page only. But before that we need to add the class call from django.db django shortcuts import render. So as I told, in Django applications, when we want to render the HTML templates, we require this render class. So after adding the render class, let's define a function called display insert data request colon. Now here I'm adding this function return render. I want to render I'm requesting the template, or requesting the template, the index.html. That's it. Let's save this file, save all. Again switch over to urls. Now here path, then single quotes, comma, views dot, the template we are getting from this inserted data. We are rendering this template with the help of this function name insert data. So I'm copying the function name and pasting here in this path. That's it. Let's save this file. Now we'll check the basic output, how it looks, the designing part, this index.html page on the browser, Python. Before that we need to add my application name to this path. Then we can able to run the application. Python manage.py. To run the server, we need to add this manage.py. Then run server, enter. See, after I run the server, we don't have any issues. Below that we got the web server link. Let's browse that. Control plus mouse click. See, here we got the output. Now my next step is I want to insert the multiple selector values from this drop down list and save those values into this table. So for that I'm implementing the jQuery select2 plugin. First we require the jQuery latest CDN. So let's grab that one, open a new tab and search for latest jQuery CDN Google, enter. And from the search results, I'm selecting the first option, hosted library, select that one. And the Google hosted libraries, notice in this library section, there is one script tag, which is the latest Google jQuery CDN link. Let's copy that one. The version I'm using 3.5.1, the jQuery CDN version. Let's paste that CDN link in our index.html page between the header tags after the title. Then I want to use the select2 option, so we require the select2 jQuery plugin also. So search for select2 CDN JS, enter, and select2 CDN JS. Let's select the first option from the search results. And here we can find the different versions of select2, but come to the bottom, you'll notice this is the default file of the library. Let's select that one, script tag, copy script tag and paste here. After that Again switch over to the CDN.js. Now we require the CSS link also. And here we got our CSS link. Let's open the URL, copy link tag. I copied that one and paste after the CDN.js link. That's it. Now let's write the scripting part. Now here in the scripting part, now in the script snippet, I will write the code first. This simple select option element will become the multiple selected drop-down list element. So first we require $document dot ready function. This is ready, ready function. Let's close with semicolon here. Dollar in double quotes. I am adding the ID of the select2. So this one DDL select. So let's paste the select ID in this jQuery element. So when we are adding the ID elements of the IDs in jQuery or JavaScript, we need to prefix with hash dot select2. And after that, let's close this one. The select2 function. Here I am adding the select2 attributes. First one I am adding the placeholder colon, between single quotes, select colors, comma. Now let's save this file, save all. We'll check the output on the browser. I'm reloading the browser and see here we got a new output. We can search the results. Now let's make this drop down list element. The user can select the multiple values. Right now we can able to select only one value. Let's make that one to multiple. That's it, a single multiple property I'm adding to this select element. Let's save this file, save all. Now we'll check the output again. So here we got. Now I can able to select multiple elements. Now let's add some width to this drop down element. For that I'm using the style property. Style width is equals to, I'm adding around 250 pixels. Let's save this file, save all. Again we'll switch over to the browser, reload this browser. Now we got a new output. Notice the drop down element is now bigger. Now we can able to select the multiple. And also notice if I select any element, any value, the drop down list is closing. Now let's make this drop down list. I can able to select multiple values without closing the drop down element. The property is close on O is capital and S is capital. Select is false. Let's save this file, save all. Now we'll check. Notice here if I select anything, it's closing. Now reload the browser. After we added this property close on select false, now see, notice here the drop down list is not closing. I can able to select multiple values and I can remove the values also. Now the next step is, whatever the user selects here, the selected values from this drop down list, I want to save here in this colors table. But before insert the selected values into a table, first I want to display those selected values. For example, here I have selected green and yellow. I want to display these two, green and yellow, into a text box control. After that, when a user clicks the button control, those values will save in this colors table. So let's add the functionality. Come to the bottom. After the select element, I am adding the input type is equals to text box, and I require one button control. Input type is equals to the type I am adding the button control is submit, and the value of the button control is insert records. Let's close this button control. So now let's save this file, save all. Again switch over to the browser, reload the browser. So here we got the output. We got now one text box control and one button control. Now whatever the user selects, the green, white and blue, these selected values I want to first display in this text box control. After that I will insert those records into this table. Then switch over to the coding part, go to the script. Now let's add here dollar double quotes hash. Let's add the DDL select, which is the ID of the drop down list, select element dot. Here I'm using on event, and this on event, the string event, I'm adding the change event comma function. Let's close this function, and in this function whatever the user selects the drop down list, I want to display in the text box element. For that I am declaring a variable text display is equals to, let's add the colors display. Colors display is a variable is equals to the colors we are getting from this element. So I am adding the drop down list ID between double quotes hash DDL select. From this ID contains the option column selected. Whatever the user selected the options from this ID, those values I want to display the text property. Then whatever the selected values I am storing first in this colors display variable, that variable I am adding to this text box. So we'll add one text ID, text colors dollar within double quotes hash, it's a dollar. Let's add this text colors dot value, the value we are getting from this colors display. Copy this one and paste here. That's it. Add semicolon. That's it. We have done the jQuery snippet. Let's save this file, save all. We'll check the output. Let's reload the browser first. So after I reload the browser, now let's select the values from this drop down list. I'm selecting yellow. Oops, something went wrong. The values whatever they selected is must be displayed here. Let's fix that one. So here the text color is not dollar, it's a hash, because I'm adding the ID. Let's save this file, save all. Again we reload the browser. Let's select the color green. So here we got green, white, blue. Let's give some space between these colors: red, blue, green, yellow, white. Save this file, save all. Now we'll check the output. Again green, white, blue. So now we have selected three values: blue, green and white. After that, when a user clicks this insert record button, I want to save those values into this table colors. Let's write the coding part. Again, switch over to the coding Visual Studio.net. Now we'll add one models.py page to the subfolder of our application. Right click the subfolder, click new file. The file name is models.py, enter. Now in this models.py contains the properties of our table. So let's add, first before adding the properties we need to import the models class from django.db import models class. After adding the models class, let's define a class. The class name is colors model, which contains the models.model colon. Now here I am adding my properties. If you check in our table, if you check in our colors table, we have two columns, ID and color name. The ID is the auto generate column, and the color name, I'm creating the color name property. So color name is equals to models dot char field. The char field max length I'm adding max underscore length is equals to 100. After that I'm adding one more class called meta class, and this meta class contains our table name db underscore table is equals to between double quotes. Let's add our table name. Our table name is a colors. This is a colors table. I'm adding, copy that one and paste here. That's it. Let's save this file. So after adding the models page to our project, next we require the serializer, the Python file serialize.py, enter. Here in the serialize page contains our model, the class name models, and the fields of our table, the properties also. So before that, we need to import the necessary classes from Django. It's not Django. First, let's add the REST framework because I'm implementing the REST framework. Import serializers. Then we'll import the models class. My models page is inside our application. So first let's import my application name dot models. Import from this models import, I'm adding the colors model, which is the class name. Now let's define a class called color serialize. The class name serializers dot model serializer colon. Now in this class contains another class called meta class, and this meta class contains the model name is equals to the model name is a colors model, and we require the fields also. Fields is between double quotes I'm adding underscore all. The all means the columns what are present in this table, ID and color name, will get all the fields. After that, again save this file. Now switch over to the views page. Now in this views page, we'll create the actual API to insert the records. So after the render, let's import the necessary classes from, first I'm importing the models, this one. Let's copy this one and paste here. From, I'm importing the serializer also, serialize, import color serialize. Then let's define def insert record insert colors. Insert colors I'm using request here colon. This function is the API. So this function return response. If request.method double equals to post, we are posting the data. Let's put in the capital letters Then the data we are inserting with the help of color serialize. So let's define a variable first. Color serialize object is equals to our serialize name is a color serialize data is equals to request dot data. The data I'm entering with the model. So once we got the data, and before saving that we need to validate that data. If colors serial object, this object dot is underscore valid method colon, then let's save this file, save method. After saving the file, after saving the records, I want to return response. So here I'm adding from REST framework dot response import response, or is capital here, return response. The response I'm adding with the color serialize object dot data. That's it. Let's save this file, save all. So after I save the file, we don't have any issues. Now open urls.py. Now before adding the path, we need to make this function the API. Here I'm creating the API is a function API. So here I'm decorating my API from REST framework dot decorators import. This API is a function API. So when we are using function API, it's API underscore view. Let's decorate that one at API underscore view. Let's put in the parenthesis the square brackets. Then in the single quotes, I am adding the method called post because we are posting the data. That's it. Let's save this file. Now switch over to the URLs. Let's add the path. The path is insert colors is the URL name. This URL comes from the views page dot in the views this function name insert colors, which is our API function name, and name is equals to between double quotes. So I'm adding my function name insert colors. I'm adding the same insert colors name here. That's it. Let's save this file, save all. Now before consume this API, first we'll check this API is actually working or not on the browser. So let's run this URL. Here we got the URL, the default URL, but our API path is insert colors. Oh, oops, here I forgot to add one thing in the settings.py. In the install underscore apps, notice in the settings.py install underscore apps, this application is a REST framework. So we need to install the REST framework application underscore REST underscore framework. After adding this app, let's save this file. Now I'm reloading the browser again. Now the path is insert colors, which is our API path. Enter. And here we got the output of this API. Notice the get method. Right now it's not allowed because we are posting the data. We check the data we are posting. So below that we got the post method. The media type is application-json. So let's insert some values here between curly brackets. I'm adding the JSON data here to insert values into this table. So here between double quotes, the first one is the ID colon 1 comma, again between double quotes, the second column name is the color name column. I'm adding the colors red, blue, green. Imagine the user has been selected these three colors. Now before posting or insert this data, one thing, we have not configured our database connection string into our application. So let's configure the connection string in the settings.py. Open that one. The settings.py, come to the bottom. Notice here the databases section is SQLite 3. The default database engine is the SQLite 3, but our database is PostgreSQL 12. So let's add that one, PostgreSQL, and let's delete this default database name. Our database name is, again switch over to the database. Our database name is Charan. Make sure give the capital C. Here I have added the capital C, so Charan. Then we require the credentials, user credential between single quotes. To find out the credentials, let's select the main folder, the PostgreSQL 12, right click the mouse, go to properties. In the properties there is a connection tab, select that one. Here you can find the username Postgres, copy that one and paste here. After that we require the password also, password colon password ABC is my password, and also we require the host. Here the host is localhost, copy that one, paste here, and the port number of our database in single quotes, the port number is 5432. Let's paste this one, copy and paste here, comma. That's it, we have added our PostgreSQL database connection string in this settings.py. And also make sure add this directory, the template section and the REST framework. That's it. Let's save this file, save all. See, after saving the file we don't have any issues. Let's close this one first. Now let's insert these values, click post. See here the value accept, the ID one, color name red, blue and green is inserted successfully. Let's check the output. I'm executing this statement. So here we got red, blue, green, and the ID of this column is 1. Now let's consume this API to insert values using select2 drop-down list element. Again switch over to the views part. This is the part here. If request.method double equals to, I'm posting the data. After posting the data, I'm declaring a variable called color name is equals to request.post method. The get values we are getting from the user selects the values. Name is equals to color name. I'm adding my column name, the color name here in this text box control, because whatever the user selects the drop down list values, first I'm displaying in the text box control. After that I'm posting that text box values into the database to save the records. So this color name I'm adding here. Then if we notice here we are the data is passing through the JSON format. So let's add data is equals to, within curly brackets, the data is, first one is a color name, colon, and I'm adding this color name here. After that we require the headers also. Headers is equals to, between curly brackets. The headers is a content type is application /JSON. Let's copy that one and paste here and put this between double quotes, the content type and the colon. After that, I'm adding the application /JSON between these double quotes. Then I'm adding save colors as an object is equals to. Let's import the class called import requesters. After importing the requesters, then requesters dot post. I'm posting the data between single quotes. We'll add our API. Our API is this one. Let's copy that API and paste here. So after that, comma. The second property I'm adding the JSON type. JSON is equals to is the data. The data is JSON only. Then the headers is equals to headers. The content type headers I have added. That's it. Now return. Now we require the else part, else colon. Let's copy this one and paste here. That's it. We have consumed this API into this function insert data. Let's save this file. Save all. Now let's switch over to the index.html. After the horizontal line, I'm adding the form tag. Form method is equals to post, and this form tag I'm closing after the button control. Next, the most important command here I'm using in Django applications. When we are posting the data, we need to add between curly brackets percentage CSRF underscore token. So now this CSRF underscore token, it protects our data from the hackers when we are posting the data. So make sure when you are posting the data, use this command, otherwise you'll get an error. That's it. Now let's add some small Java function here on click to the button click. So when a user clicks the button control, we'll get some alert message. The record is inserted successfully. Return alert between single quotes. Let's close this alert with parentheses. Records saved successfully. That's it. We have done the complete coding part. Let's save this file. Save all. Now let's run the server again. Control C to come out to exit from the server. Now let's run Python manage.py run server. So after run the server, we don't have any issues. Let's Control plus mouse click to open a new browser. And here we got the final output, the header tags. Below that we got the select2 jQuery plugin, which is the drop down element. So I can able to select multiple colors: red, yellow, white. So whatever the values I have selected is displaying here. Now these values I will insert in this colors table. Click insert. See here I got a message, record saved successfully. Click OK. Let's check in our database. Right now we have only one record. Let's execute or refresh. See here, red, yellow, white. Let's insert the other records, yellow and red. I have selected only two colors, red and yellow. Click insert records. Record saved successfully. Click OK. Let's check that one. See here, red, yellow. That's it. We have implemented to insert multiple drop-down list selected values using select2 jQuery plugin in Django Rest Framework. That's it.